Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
God, seems like 1,000 years ago. I fought my way out of that cave, became Iron Man. Realized I loved you. I know I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
The world has changed. None of us can go back. All we can do is our best. And sometimes the best that we can do is to start over.
I saw all these people die. I keep telling everybody they should move on. Some do, but not us.
Even if there's a small chance, we owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
We will. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and today I'm joined by
Marcus Hurley.
So after 10 years and 20 movies, the MCU as we know it has kind of ended with a spectacular finale, which I have seen. I saw about a week ago with you, Marcus. I think you've seen it again since then.
I saw it yesterday.
Cool. Just as good?
I was tearing up again.
Yeah, it's emotional. We'll say right from the top, it's really difficult to talk about this without spoiling anything.
Yeah, there will be spoilers.
And also, like, if you don't want to be spoiled, why the hell are you doing anything except watching Avengers Endgame?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so get the hell out of here and come back when you've watched it.
Thanos demands your compliance.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, there's so much to get into here.
Right. Where do we start? Fucking hell.
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, obviously...
Should we get gripes out of the way, if there are any gripes?
I'd like to just kind of talk about how the film is structured, to be honest, first. Because I feel like they went for a very sort of deliberate structure here that I was not expecting necessarily. No. I thought, I mean, it's like there's three very specific acts. The first act is kind of the aftermath of Thanos' snap, and half of the world's life in the universe ceasing to be, and so it plays out almost like The Leftovers, where people are kind of grieving the loss of all this life, and so that's kind of like the first hour, and then the second hour is almost what they describe as a time heist, where all of the heroes that were left go back in time travel through the older films, almost like a victory lap of various moments that they sort of picked to do with where and when the Infinity Stones were easiest to get a hold of. And then the final act is basically this huge confrontation with Thanos, where everyone gets involved, which is just awesome. And I loved it, and it was very emotional. And we had to say goodbye to some of the longest running characters in the MCU. Fuck it, Iron Man and Captain America. And that made me really sad. And it's why I haven't wanted to see it again. I know you kind of had to because Sue's had to see it.
I really wanted to see it again.
Yeah.
Now that I knew what the story was, I just wanted to just experience it.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. When you know exactly what you're getting into. And, yeah. I mean, for me though, I sort of did like I kind of crammed in a bit of a phase 3 rewatch. And I mean, it's almost before I went to see Endgame, I was kind of wishing that I'd had time to do Civil War. And when I came out of the film, I was just like, man, I wish I had rewatched it all from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it really does close that loop.
Yeah.
In a major way.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'll shut up for a minute.
Pivot. No. Well, to be honest, I had to keep quiet for ages. Like, between us going to see it and going to see it again yesterday, I just couldn't say anything. Could not say anything. I had to keep stum. Got to talk a little bit about it with someone at work, but that was it. Very hushed, and that's it. There were some great comedic moments, but I found the comedy a lot more hushed this time. It was almost like it played out more like a drama with sort of like melancholic undertones because of what needed to be done. And whilst the comedy was still there in its typical sort of fashion, it was very much, it's funny along with, rather than being too out. I mean, even the characters that are normally a little bit crazier were kind of a bit muted. Yeah,
well, it was almost like gallows humour in a way, and they found other ways to mine comedy out of just the hopelessness and the regret of everything. Yeah. I mean, it's worth saying this film basically kicks off with them all going and kicking Thanos' ass immediately, which was very surprising because then you're sort of left with this feeling like, what's the rest of the film about then? And there's like 3 hours of it. You know, Captain Marvel turns up fairly early. You're like, oh, well, like Thanos is fucked. They're going to fix this. They're going to sort it out. But they sort of, his victory is so supreme that even killing him is, you know, there's no satisfaction to it. It's just like, he's still won.
Yeah. Well, he left him with that piece going, he's inevitable. And you kind of go,
Yeah.
Like even, it's like, well, since we're obviously doing spoilers because we've named 2 of the cast that are no longer returning. And we'll get into it in which way later on. But it's just the fact that really early on, Thor finally takes his advice, and he even makes a kind of witty remark from it, saying that he went for the head. And it's like, okay, that's fine, and you think it's over. But then, yeah, you're right, they have to live with it, and they still have to live with it. And it says 5 years have passed, and you kind of think, well...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, for the first time in the MCU's history, there is a time jump, which it's needed, I think, for the you know, their failure to really land.
I think it just shows. It's the fact that they mentioned actually it was 50% of all animals as well, because you don't really see much of any nature.
Yeah, it's like it's like a semi-apocalypse that's occurred. You know, that because the planet is only half full. You know, the cities look deserted. Yeah. There's the birds aren't singing in the trees. You know, it really is like a colossal catastrophe.
Yeah.
You know, of an epic proportion. You know, it really is. And, you know, it kind of makes you think, you know, how can they get out of this?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, going back to just like Thanos' last moments, they found him. He had used the power of the stones to obliterate the stones and just left them with absolutely nothing. He wasn't even like smirking at them and gave him like the finger or flipped the bird or they could kill him in battle. He was just like, he didn't care. It was like he'd done his bit.
That's right. So we kind of spend a time mourning, and then basically Ant-Man shows up.
Yeah.
Thanks to a rat that crawled along his machinery that he used at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
We're glad that rat wasn't one of the 50%, because without that rat...
Yeah, well, you know,
it'll be over.
That rat, you know, needs to have its own little spin-off show, I think. But yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, yeah, so he comes out of the quantum realm.
Quantum realm, yep.
That's it. And then once he realises that he's been in there for 5 years, sets about, goes to the Avengers and basically suggests that they might be able to travel back in time and fix the problems that went down. I think this was something that we all thought quite likely would be involved.
Yeah. But
given his absence.
Before we delve a bit further, there's a section that we did miss out, which was the opening, which I just found really harrowing. It was filmed in such a different way, where you see Clint Barton and his family.
Oh,
because
Hawkeye,
Hawkeye. He has no idea what's happened.
No.
So you have this whole setup with him teaching his daughter to shoot, and he jokingly calls her Hawkeye, just in case we've forgotten who he is.
Yeah.
And it's just, he turns back, the arrow hits the tree, you see just embers of the dust, like the ash floating, and then he turns around and his family's gone.
That's right,
and then afterwards, the whole thing events with Thanos and everything else, but it turns out that Rhodey... Commander Rhodes, who's a war machine, they've also been looking for him because he's turned into this sort of like devil may care, just killer.
Yeah, Ronin, isn't it?
Yeah, he just goes after people.
Yeah, that's what's happened. He's just turned into like this sort of merciless.
Yeah, he's got nothing
machine
to live for, literally.
Yeah,
so he just goes after bad guys and just kills them, whoever's left.
Yeah, that's it. So that's what happens. That's like the first thing that one of the first things that happens after the 5 year later bit, isn't it? That they're checking in with Black Widow, and they're talking about how he's been sighted and what do? They need to bring him in and all this. But yeah, she's basically holding the fort because everyone else has gone off.
Yeah, barely. It's really interesting because you see that what a mess that she's in. And she's always been the cold, calm, measured one of the group. Everyone's always lost their shit, and she's always been the one that's generally held it together. So to see her in a state just punctuates how horrendous it's been for all of them.
So so Ant-Man or Scott Lang shows up, and they go to Tony Stark, They suggest to him this time heist idea, and he's not interested. Him and Potts have had a daughter in this time, and as much as he regrets the past, he's living for the future now, and he doesn't want to
risk what he's got. Yeah,
he doesn't want to wreck he doesn't want to fuck with the past and wreck the future. So that's an important thing. But yeah, he comes around eventually, and they kind of go off and try and assemble who they can. Rocket and Nebula are still on Earth.
Yeah.
They go off and they hook up with Thor, who, it has to be said, he's definitely let himself go a bit.
Yeah, it's kind of weird why they did that. I kind of thought it's funny. But I kind of thought there would have been like a recovery montage or something, or some Asgardian method.
Well, like a Rocky montage.
Yeah,
of him,
once
like,
he's
getting
got
back
something
in shape.
to live for. I was expecting that, but no, it was the beer-bellied god of thunder.
Yeah, he's got the long hair back though, which I thought was pretty cool.
Dreaded. He looked like he was going to sell you some heather or something.
Yeah, he looked like the dude.
Oh, they even call him that at one point, don't they? I think Iron Man Stark sort of throwaway comment where he calls him Lebowski.
Yeah, well, that apparently on like the call sheets and on the scripts, they always use code names for the characters.
Yeah,
and he was down as Lebowski for like the whole film.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, which is pretty funny. So it's funny. He's just hanging out like. It's somewhere like in Norway. They've created like New Asgard. It's like a tiny little village.
Yeah.
with the few survivors of Asgard.
It was cool to see. Was it Valkyrie from Ragnarok?
Yeah, she's hanging there.
We never saw her on the ship, so I tried to remember what happened sort of afterwards.
No, that's true. I mean, yeah, I think they sort of used their license a bit there in terms of, you didn't see that bit.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she got out and rescued a few people while Thor and Loki were dicing around with.
It seems insinuated like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah,
there are probably escape pods and stuff on that ship. It was massive, and they were on their way to Earth anyway. So that probably sort of accounts for that. But yeah, they're all hanging out. Korg's playing a bit of Fortnite, getting a bit of abuse.
Hey, that guy again. The guy called me a dickhead.
Yeah.
It's like,
I love that
master.
I love that bit. I love everything with Thor in this.
It was.
Film.
I think he's been slowly going mad though over the years, with all of the stuff he's had to endure and go through. I think it might have actually. It's like it's kind of unsaid, but I think in Infinity War where he lists all of the stuff that's happened, I think Loki dying is the thing that snaps him. Literally, because he goes, his sister came back from hell and had to kill his father and everything else, and his brother's dead. And despite how he was towards Loki, you could tell that they really cared.
Yeah,
I think from then he's kind of lost it a bit, which probably explains why he's a bit more of a goofball in Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was down to him hanging around with the Avengers and being a bit weird, but I think he's just been more losing his shit as the films have been going on.
Yeah, I really hope that they include him in the next Guardians film. I've got a feeling they will, because I know he renegotiated his contract for these last two films because he was only signed up for 5. But he hasn't ruled out more. I mean, he's a young guy. He's younger than me. Yeah. That's not saying too much, but yeah, he's in his 30s. Like, he could easily do more MCU stuff. Yeah. Even if it's just another one to kind of pass the torch to Valkyrie or someone else. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, they've already established that the hammer can be wielded by anyone that's worthy.
Yeah. So, which was a good setup.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
That's amazing.
So yeah, they basically get they assemble what's left of the Avengers and basically all split up and go into different movies from the MCU to recover the Infinity Stones.
All precursored by another. It seems like Tony Stark is the throwaway guide to the film. Because because they mentioned something. Sorry, my headphones are rattling. They mentioned something, and he goes, "Are you telling me that all of your time knowledge comes from Back to the Future?" Which is then kind of what the film does.
Yeah, they liberally scatter a hell of a lot of movie references in this. I remember.
But by going back into it, it really does do a Back to the Future, almost like a Back to the Future 2, where they retread.
Yeah, well, they set up scenes from the first Avengers movie, especially.
Yeah,
they set up alternative scenes, like watching events transpire that happened behind the scenes that we never saw before, or shot from a different angle slightly. So that was really cool. And interestingly, they fuck it up.
Yeah,
and have to go back again and Tony hooks up with his dad, which I thought was really touching in the 1970s. Oh, and they totally referenced Agent Carter, the show, by including her...
Jarvis.
Jarvis, yeah, who was the original, was the name that he gave to the suit in the first Iron Man.
I was literally losing my shit at how many people were in this.
Everyone.
Literally I couldn't believe it. It's the fact that they managed to get both Peggy Carter and Jarvis into it as well. Yeah, that was awesome. That was just...
Yeah, it was so cool. And so, while Cap and Stark are doing that, we've got Hawkeye and Black Widow go to Vormir to track down the Soul Stone.
Yep, guided by the Red Skull.
Yeah, and then they get the same situation where they have to make a sacrifice, and that kind of... what precedes then is like a kind of action version of no, me, no, you, no, me, no, you. At which point, in the first screening that me and you went to, the fucking film crapped out because there was a fucking fire alarm went off.
It's like,
which was annoying.
A high tension point, and I was thinking, I'm hearing a buzzing noise and a beeping noise. Is that a car? Why is there a car right outside of the cinema making a beeping? It goes off, and we're like, oh! I think I turned to you at that point. I went, can I just play it until it starts getting too warm?
Yeah, exactly. I don't care if there's a fire. You're interrupting my movie, and this is really important. But anyway, I don't think we missed anything. Although you would know better than me.
Yeah, no,
it
didn't impact too much on it, to be honest. It was just a few more seconds of really close sort of, which makes you wonder what their past was, because they obviously knew each other and they were both spies. But you do wonder whether they were a thing years ago, because there is that kind of feeling from the connection that maybe it didn't quite work, but it was close. But yeah.
So, so them two, Black Widow ends up sacrificing herself, very sad. Another character ending, although she does have a film coming out, apparently, which is going to be a prequel.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how that's going to work. I think she might just be bookending it, although she's apparently going to be earning 20 million for it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Florence
it's because they know it's the last one they can do, because,
well, true. But Florence Pugh, who is been in some cool stuff lately. She's in the new film by the guy that did Hereditary. She's playing the younger version of Black Widow, I believe. She's cool. She's a British actress, quite young, really good. She was recently in that Park Chan-wook TV show, which was all about the little drummer girl.
What was her name?
It was called Florence Pugh. It's like P-U-G-H. She's a good fit for it.
Oh, yeah.
To play a young Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, totally see that.
Yeah. So that happens. Very sad. Meanwhile, Thor and Rocket are on Asgard, trying to get back the ether.
Yes.
Which is what's that stone? Is that the Power Stone?
It's the, oh God, which one is it? It's not Soul. Power Stone's the purple. Soul Stone's gold or yellow. Mind is, fuck now. I don't know which one that is, to be honest.
Red one is the reality.
Yeah.
That's the reality gem. I'm looking at them right now. I didn't even have to spell it properly, and I now have a picture of them all.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think I found the same picture.
Yeah.
Yay, the internet.
That's it, yeah.
Oh, it's actually more of an angry sludge as well, as Thor pointed out, so someone should correct that.
That's right, yeah. So that's all going on. And then Nebula is out in space with Hawkeye and Black Widow. And there's a weird thing that happens with her, because she basically travels back to a time where she was in that same location. And because she's like a cyborg, basically the way I understood it was that like she ended up getting networked with herself, which basically caused, which then gives Thanos the ability to see what's going on. So he's now privy to the plan, even though this is now set way before he even went to go and get the gems himself. And so through that, he is then able, when they all return to our present, Nebula basically sneaks back as like a doppelganger of the version that was actually helping them, and basically somehow lets Thanos come through the portal with them.
Well,
that's kind of
on the second.
I know
viewing,
I'm skipping over. I might be skipping over things here.
Well, to be honest, that's kind of what. Yeah. Oh, we also sort of just before they go to Tony, they meet Banner, who's basically infused with Hulk now.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, I forgot to mention that as well. That's another kind of, as well as Thor
Crazy.
being a fat ass. That's the other big thing, is that he's finally. after being shell-shocked in Avengers Infinity War, he's kind of reconciled and kind of come up with this sort of hybrid version of Hulk.
Yeah,
sort of, and
weird Hulk.
Yeah.
Dabs and everything. It's almost like your grandfather trying to be cool. It's kind of cringy, but a bit funny at the same time. But yeah,
has that ever happened in the comics?
Well, to be honest, this movie surprised the hell out of me. I mean, some of the things we all thought, like the whole time stone being involved, half right because time was involved, just not the time stone. But I really thought, because Hulk got his ass kicked, I thought there'd be a fusion between the brains and the brawn. But I thought that would have led to Grey Hulk.
Oh.
Who is physically, I think, a tiny bit weaker, but is a lot more intelligent because he taps into Banner's brain.
So they were probably referencing that then.
Yeah, well, he sometimes does wear glasses in a suit, which is kind of funny. But he's grey.
Okay.
Which I was hoping they would have done, which would have been cool. You know, just changed his shade, a different colour, and it would have been quite interesting. But yeah, instead he was Instagram Hulk, which was very weird.
I think it's slightly easier to swallow. He's more of an obvious cross between the two.
He looked more fuzzy though, which was odd as well.
He definitely looked more friendly.
Yeah,
but that's because
he looked kind of fluffy, which was odd. It was like he had a layer of fuzz on him.
Yeah. I think he was just not angry Hulk.
Yeah.
You know, even when he was actually kicking ass, he was still sort of.
Well, that was the thing. After that, you didn't necessarily see him fight as much. No. He kind of faded out into the background. We'll get to it, but yeah, he didn't really seem to. He had more screen time as a character.
But doesn't he go to see the Ancient One?
But he doesn't really do anything.
Mind gem.
Yeah.
No, the time gem.
Yeah. But he talked. It's a conversational piece rather than that, because the bit where they go back to New York in 2012, he sees the Unleashed Hulk smashing the shit out of Katari, Warrior, with a car, and he like slams him into the ground and starts stamping on the car, and he's there cringing, going, "Oh, I just think it's gratuitous." You kind of go, "Okay, that's where we stand with this new Hulk." And he goes smash stuff, and he's sort of like just going, rah, thumps the car a little bit, picks up a bike and just like lazily throws it over, and then that's it, cuts away. And I think that's pretty much most of what you see him do.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. We must move on.
Yep.
So Thanos comes through.
Yeah.
And that's where the big final confrontation is.
He travels through the quantum realm. That's how he gets there.
Oh, okay.
Because the ship...
Yeah, but they all did, didn't they?
He's travelling through hyperspace because he goes through the machine.
Yeah.
So she pulls him through the quantum realm. So that's how the ship manages to fit through. Because there was no way in hell a ship that size would have just torn the building apart, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I just assumed that was part of the whole time travel thing, is that they take the Pym particle and it shrinks them.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, in a way.
I think, Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm not sure on the exact science.
Right. He did have one, didn't he? Fuck.
I thought that's what it did, but
I
it's not completely true. It's not completely, spelt out. But anyway, somehow they use the Pym particle, which involves shrinkage as well. So it allows his enormous fucking Star Destroyer to come through the roof of the Avengers building.
Yeah.
And then begin unleashing hell.
Literally.
So, I mean, the battle here, it's great. Eventually, they get the Infinity Gauntlet working, and that reverses the snap. We know this because phones start ringing, birds start chirping, and then the whole Avengers building gets demolished, and then there's a 3-on-1 fight with Thanos in which Cap gets the hammer, which is just the best moment of the film, in my opinion.
Also, the dual wielding Thor at one point, which was pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah, with the axe and the hammer. Yeah. And then Cap dual wields his shield with the hammer. That's amazing.
Some amazing combos there. Just the choreography of that fight was insane.
Yeah, I think for all of Iron Man's gadgets, he seems fairly ineffectual in this against Thanos. He's just no match for him whatsoever. So he gets the crap kicked out of him. But then eventually Doctor Strange, his portal opens all these portals and everyone comes through them.
Preceded by an amazing shot. There's a long shot where Thanos summons all of his military. Basically all of the hordes that you saw in Infinity War come forth. His 4 generals and stuff like that and everyone else. Basically everyone. And the large whale-type creatures from the first Avengers film. Basically he unleashes everything. And we finally see where they all come from, which is basically just his ship. Which shows how fucking big it is. And you get this long shot of Captain America on one side, just getting up after having the shit kicked out of him royally, and you've got light sort of coming down from the clouds, and on the right-hand side it's just all dark, and you've got Thanos and his armies just coming and squaring up, and then you just get that lovely little radio crackle, and Sam's like saying, on your left. Then you get the porthole open, and then it's like, starts kicking off.
I think the details are a bit more fresh for you.
I know. But I still remembered that from last time we went to see it, because that's one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen in the film. I thought that was how he was going to go out. I thought he wasn't going to make the end of the film. I really did.
Who?
Cap.
Oh, right,
I thought that was how he was going to go out, just fighting, and, and the others would carry on the fight.
No, I didn't think that at all. I thought what happened to Cap was pretty close to what I had in my head. Especially when they reference Agent Carter halfway through or in the second act. I thought, because they don't really resolve that. And so when he goes back, but anyway, skipping ahead. There's a big old dust up, but what I appreciate about this battle more than the big fight in Infinity War was because in Infinity War they were just kind of fighting for the sake of it, whereas with this, they're definitely following the glove, And people are passing it, Spider-Man's got it for a bit, then Captain Marvel's got it, then Black Panther has it for a bit, and then the Wasp, and they're all just like working to try and get it away from Thanos.
Yeah, to get it to the van, to be able to send the stones back, so that he can never get them. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. But in the end, it doesn't quite go that way. It gets intercepted. There's a big fight between Thanos and Tony Stark for the glove, and then there's a little bit of misdirection going on, which I think was Doctor Strange's doing, wasn't it, where he thinks he's got the glove but he hasn't?
No, he basically he thinks it's all over, and Tony looks over to... there's a little mini conversation during the battle where he goes, is this what's supposed to happen? Because they're getting their asses kicked and, they can't take on Thanos. And Strange goes, if I tell you what's going to happen, it won't happen.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, where Thanos has pretty much got the glove, and Strange looks over to him, and because he's fighting, what's her name? Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So that's giving Tony just a moment of a reprieve, and he looks over at Strange, and Strange holds up one finger, as in that's the one chance. And then you realise, and then he knows what Tony's going to do, and Tony realises what he has to do. So he goes and grabs the gloves, and because I realised this on the second viewing, because the glove is made from Iron Man tech.
Yeah.
He steals them.
So he's able to get the glove off Thanos easily.
No, he doesn't get the glove off him. Thanos is still wearing the glove. He merges with the glove.
So it isn't... Oh, right. So he has the glove all along.
Yeah.
And Thanos is just... Thanos has just got like a red herring then.
No. No, Thanos has got the glove that they made.
Yeah.
Tony's got his armour, but all of it is nanotech now. So Tony's arm fuses with it while he's grabbing it. I saw it on the second time round because I was wondering how the fuck did he get those stones, and you see his hands go round the glove for a moment, and then he gets pulled away. So he must have just.
So what's Thanos got then?
Thanos has got just the glove, just the Iron Man glove, and then he snaps his fingers because he doesn't bother looking round, and then he looks and the stones are gone. So Tony basically just takes the stones out of the glove.
Right,
into his Iron Man armour.
Right, okay.
Because it's all
right,
the same tech, so it could just fuse, and it just steals the stones out of it.
Oh, I see. Okay, and then then there's that moment.
Yeah.
Thanos says, "I am inevitable," and then Tony says, "I am." Long pause. Iron Man, which just brings the whole thing full circle. He snaps his fingers, and then Thanos' forces are dust, which is just awesome, and just the best way to end it. And obviously, the shock of the glove kills him, which is very sad.
It's really good the way that they set it up. It's almost like preparing you for it, because the pause he takes to say, well, and you see him with the stones like going into place on his hand, all of that bit, whilst it's cool, you know what's coming, because when Hulk used the glove earlier to bring everyone back, you see what the damage it did to him, and it still didn't heal, and Hulk heals fast. The fact that half of his arm is pretty much like gone. It's half the size it was, and it's like burnt, and it's just like you just think, and that's Hulk.
No, it's awesome. But it was very sad. But it's just it kind of just had to go that way. I think
definitely.
We end up with. I mean, this film has probably got more endings than Return of the King. It goes on a bit. There's obviously there's like a little bit of a Force ghost thing with Tony because of like projecting the older recordings he did, kind of, which they mention at the beginning of the film. And and then Cap, as we mentioned previously, he offers to go back in time and return all the stones to whence they came. And they're expecting him to come back, and he doesn't. And then they see this old guy sat on a bench with a package. Yeah. And Falcon goes over and chats to him. And
Falcon a package. Gives him a secret handshake.
The shield is passed on. So Cap's basically gone back and had a life with Peggy.
Yeah.
And that's all very nice and a very fitting end for him.
I do wonder, though. Because they do mention the whole thing of make sure you don't change nothing, because it could create all sorts of alternative nasty worlds and stuff. And I do wonder whether, him going back and staying and marrying Peggy has inadvertently created like some very minuscule offshoot timeline.
Yeah.
That won't affect them directly because their actions will still carry on. But somewhere else in the world or something else, which might open the realm for story arc number 2 or whatever it is Marvel have got cooked up.
Well, there's a Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show apparently going to be on Disney Plus.
Oh, wow.
And they've said that they could feature an older Steve Rogers as like a kind of commander sort of guy. So they could recast him.
Yeah.
Or, because I think he's done. He's out.
Yeah, yeah.
But they could have an older Steve Rogers played by, someone like Robert Redford's age or something, and he could be like a senior member of that little team.
Yeah.
So that's an option.
Well, it was really cool because obviously Falcon, I don't know if at the moment, but for a while Falcon was Captain America, and he had the shield.
That's true.
So that's
true. Yeah,
that's pretty much like canon. There's like a nice way of doing that.
Yeah. I mean, he could be Captain America in that show.
Yeah.
But I think they've just called it that because they didn't want to spoil Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts? Obviously, there's the funeral and stuff.
The funeral was great. They brought back the trophy that he had going down in the reef, which proves that Tony Stark has a heart. Down the pond. And there was a great shot of all of them, all of the people standing there as it's going away. And they're all in the groups, like related to their films. So you got the Black Panther crew and everything else. And also, I noticed there's one kid standing on his own. We thought he was, what's his name, Peter Parker. But on second viewing, there's a kid standing on his own, and I swear it might be the kid from Iron Man 3. Growing up a bit.
It definitely is.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's who it is. I've heard that confirmed.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
No, it's an amazing film.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just kind of had to walk through it, really, just to remember it. I'm still not remembering all of it, and you've reminded me of things that I've kind of rushed over and forgotten a bit myself.
There's some amazing stuff. It's well worth a second viewing. Like I said, it's still got me going. Again.
Yeah. Well, my plan is I need to rewatch them all from the beginning. So I accidentally bought the Phase 1 box set today.
Yeah.
I'll probably buy the others over the course of the year. And, So, yeah, I think, well, they're doing 2 for $15 on Blu-rays at the moment for all MCU films. So, if you want to...
Can I say one thing? It's really interesting because Captain Marvel was quite powerful, but clearly she's still learning her power because she's one of the most powerful characters in the universe.
Yeah.
But she's still vulnerable to like physical hits, blasters and stuff like that, so she can be taken by surprise. And Thanos is absolutely bastard strong. I mean, he threw his weapon faster than she was flying. And that's how they got the glove, because they were literally, she was flying towards the van, and he threw his double-ended scepter at it, and it blew up the van. And that was the only reason why he managed to get his hands on it. And there's a bit where he's fighting her, and he grabs her, and he throws her, and then she gets back up, and then she comes back, and she's grabbing the glove to try and pull it off him, and he headbutts her, and it does nothing, and she just like scowls at him, and I was like, fuck, okay, so she could be taken by surprise a little bit, but it probably won't really do any damage. But yeah, she seems to be getting even stronger and stronger. It's a bit scary, so I'm wondering whether she's like gonna keep leveling up the more people she fights and encounters.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just mental. I just noticed that the second time round. I was like, holy shit. But, anyway, we better, like, not ramble on, because it could be like a 5-hour podcast. And
I know, we could easily go on and on about this, and I'm sure we will in future episodes. So, so that's Avengers Endgame. Thanks for listening to the Not Watching Podcast, part of the Not Listening Podcast Network, where you can also find the Not Playing Podcast, where we talk about video games, and the Not Listening Podcast, where you can hear Adam and Co talk about all kinds of nonsensical nonsense. You can email us at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. You can find the show notes for all our shows at notlistening.co.uk, and if you like what you've heard here, please do leave us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time, bye!